New tonight, an effort to break up the Hawaiian and Alaska Airlines merger is heading back to court. Passengers have filed an appeal seeking a restraining order that would preserve Hawaiian as a standalone airline. The feds approved the deal in 2024, as long as Alaska maintains certain routes and improved customer service. But now the plaintiffs say the merger is monopolizing the market, citing a drop in flight options and a rise in prices. Court documents filed this week claim Alaska now operates more than 40% of Hawaii's U.S. mainland routes. We've reached out to Alaska Airlines and are awaiting a response.